Hi, I'm Lenora.
I'm Kristen. Hello.
I'm Isabel. Hola.
I am Kristen Tetzi, author of The Age of the Child, which takes place in an America coming soon to you, in which Roe versus Wade has been overturned. And our character, Catherine, does not want to have a child at all. And yet, thanks to the limited birth control available, she finds herself pregnant. And she also finds herself coming up to a set of chained doors on the last standing abortion clinic in the country on the day that she was supposed to have an appointment for her abortion.
That's a very interesting read, by the way.
It is. It is.
If you haven't read it yet.
Was I supposed to say more?
No, I think we
No,
were just like kind of waiting for you
The
to
fact
go
that
on.
it's coming to an America near you, and that it's hard to. How do you top that? I mean,
It actually just happened in Oklahoma. I think it's in Oklahoma. They're passing
Oh,
a bill where
okay.
you cannot get an abortion, period. Like it used to be 6 weeks, and now it's at the point of
Okay.
conception
Yeah.
Has that
Or
or
passed?
fertilization.
Yeah.
I think it is very close to passing, or it passed. I think it's close to
Okay.
passing.
Oh my God. On that note, I'm Isabel. Hi. I don't live in the States, but I can feel in my heart what is going on down there, up there, north, wherever that is, because I am in Colombia. I am the child-free friend that you never knew you needed. So if you're having some trouble coping as a child-free person or maybe making the decision, hit me up. I am also the host of the Honest Supper podcast, and I create, organize, and actually go to trips with child-free women only.
If I need the child-free friend that I never knew I needed, how would I hit you up?
Oh, you can find me at the Uprising Spark.
Okay, thanks.
The Uprising Spark on Instagram.
Hi, I'm Lenora Faye. I am in Canada. So I also send my thoughts and prayers, or thoughts and tacos, as we like to say, to down below. I am a child-free lifestyle advocate, and I am also a co-founder and moderator of the upcoming 2022 Virtual Child-Free Convention, which will be coming to a YouTube page near you. Well, on your device, July 30th and July 31st. And we are the 3 founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls, which is a podcast and web series, in case you're joining us for the first time. I don't know where this whole intro went, but whatever, it's here. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about the misconception that that people are child-free because we don't like to share. It actually, or yes, it may be true. So stick around and find out. On that note,
stick around and find out. I love that.
How many episodes has this been? So Kristen, do you like to share? And this goes for food, people, lovers, friends, pets, clothes,
Oh my goodness.
Whatever.
I used to think maybe I do like sharing, but now you've mentioned all those things. And no, I do not like sharing food unless I'm already full. Once I'm full, you can have a bite of whatever. But if my food has just arrived, you better, like, I'll seriously get angry to stay away from my plate. I don't think of that as a character flaw. I think we are all different. Some people enjoy sharing their food right away, and some people don't. I do not. I do not share a partner. Absolutely not. No. Nope. Don't like that. Sharing clothes. If I trust the person, I will share my clothes. Like if it's my favorite shirt or something, what if you tear it? I don't know. Books, I'm happy to share. I will even be happy for you to write in them or fold down the pages or crease the spine. And space. Space I can share for a limited amount of time, but very limited. So while this is not why I didn't have kids, if I did have kids, I know I would go absolutely insane from needing to be without humans around me.
I mean, that really comes down to it. Were all those things you don't like to share, did that play a part into why you don't have kids? Really? No? Okay.
No, nothing. There's nothing that contributed to the why. I just didn't want to, period. All that other stuff is just, conveniently helped along by not having them.
It makes me wonder if people who chose to have kids actually do like to share any of those things, but we'll tackle that in a minute. Isabel, what are your thoughts on sharing Same list applies to you.
Well, when we decided we were going to talk about sharing, I remembered something that I read somewhere. I think it was on Twitter. I don't remember, but it was like a post made by a mother. And I remember that I read it not long ago. This was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I thought, oh my God, this is so right. And she was saying, like, why is it that when you're a child, your parents are always telling you that you need to share, that you have to learn how to share, if as an adult you don't behave that way? It's not like you go up to this person at the park, sit down next to them and be like, ooh, can I have a bit of your sandwich? And they're going to be like, sure, here you go. Like, that's not how the world works. So she was saying, like, she's not teaching her kid to share. She's teaching her kid to make the decision if they want to share or not, and also making them like understand that if they don't want to share, same thing can apply to them. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to play with another child's toy and the other child says no, then they'll have to suck it, because it applies. It goes both ways, basically, which I think when I read that, I was like, I wish my parents would have actually raised me thinking in the same way, because adult human beings usually don't like to share. And I'm one of those adult human beings in general. I don't like to share clothes, for example. Like, my sister, she keeps raiding my closet for some reason, and I hate it when she does it. But that's mainly because, Kristen, you mentioned something about, it's a favorite shirt and somebody gives it back to you and it's ripped or whatever. Like, I don't, if my clothes are going to get damaged or lost or stolen, if that happens to me, that's one thing. But if it happens to somebody else, and I know it sounds like I'm like very attached to my clothes. I'm really not. It's just that I'm really anal about my closet. I don't like people touching my clothes or going through my clothes, or like, I don't like sharing my clothes. I think
I think
that's
it's
the one
because
thing
you're a
that,
big sister.
yeah,
Yeah.
You big
yeah,
sisters have that problem. My big
Big,
sister did not like me wearing her clothes either. She let me do it, but she didn't like it.
yeah.
but big sister to it, like when you have a little sister, because I'm a big sister, but I have a brother, and
Yeah, he's not gonna wear your clothes.
no.
Oh, you never know.
Well, I dress.
But this, I mean, this particular brother probably has not worn her clothes. So, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get to my clothes in a minute.
Okay.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, even if my friends ask me for clothes to borrow, I'm like, I'm really like, dude, I will do anything for you, but don't ask me to lend me lend you my clothes. Like, it's not, I don't know why. It's weird. I think it's because I feel that maybe clothes are personal in so many ways, and they're also sort of like an extension of your personality. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to express myself somehow or make an impression with something, I guess clothes would be one of the first things that I would think of. Maybe not too consciously, maybe unconsciously. I don't know. I'm just really anal about my closet on my clothes. I don't mind sharing food. Food is okay. Um, except if the other person is eating the food faster than I am. If it's my food and they're eating faster out of my plate or
Yeah.
eating more, like bigger bites, that'll piss me off. Like,
Mhm.
don't do that. That's rude.
Same. I'm the same way with that. Yeah.
So rude. Don't do that. But I will share food. Um, well, yeah, I guess I could share like friends. I don't partners. I'm not too keen on sharing partners, honestly. Not completely close to the idea. Who knows? If I end up in a polyamory relationship or whatever, you never know. Um, Not something that I'm actively thinking about, by the way. Yeah, so I think in general, I'm not an adult person who likes to share. I do love to share knowledge. That is something that I like to share. I like to share stories. I like to share experiences. I guess it's something, I mean, things that are more, to me, are very meaningful, but are not like physical. They're not material, even though they are meaningful. Um, and, to the question, did this actually play any part in my decision to become free? No, absolutely not. I didn't think about that when I made the decision. I guess, like Kristen said, is like a happy sort of uh perk of being child free, but it's not something that I actively thought about when I was making the decision. No.
I think perk is a great word because as I got older, I mean, I always wanted to live by myself, but as I got older and now at this age, it makes more sense why I chose to not have kids, because there's certain things that I think as you develop over time, I really like my personal space now. I hate sharing bathrooms. Like if I have no other
Oh,
choice, I
yes.
will. But like I live alone with I live alone with 3 toilets. That sounds funny, but I have three. I have 3 toilets.
I hope
in
you're
my
all very
townhouse.
happy.
Oh,
I,
more
they're
one
happy.
Kim. Yeah,
one,
happy
one
for
of
you.
one of them I never use because it's the guest bathroom, and the one downstairs I do. But the one in my primary suite, no one is allowed in it. Even if we're sharing a bed, you're not allowed to use that. Like it's like you're down the hall. I don't care who you are. Well, I mean, if you're in my bed, I'm a little picky, but I mean specific. But you have to use the one down the hall. Like I do not like that. So now when I think about it, and I think of what it would be like to have be a parent, especially specifically a mother, and you don't have that personal space, like it's an afterthought. It definitely wasn't the deciding factor, but that is a big deal actually. And I think the whole, like, when people get upset that you don't like to share, you're selfish, you don't want to share anything, therefore you don't have kids. Let's break it down a little bit. Personal space is a big deal, especially when you need that time for yourself because you're having a rough time for whatever reason, just not having, I don't know, like I can't, to me, I'm really happy that I figured that out, that kind of enhances my decision. I guess I could say enhances the decision to remain child free because of that alone time. Now the clothes thing, nobody wants to wear what I wear. I don't have jeans or t-shirts, and you've seen, like, how big my boobs are. No one can wear what I wear anyway. So like no one's gonna want to share anything, which is nice.
They might want to wear your wigs.
Yeah, but this is a hygiene thing. It's like you don't share mascara, you don't share brushes, you don't share headgear. That's gross. So no. Same with shoes. You don't, like, I never buy used shoes. I'm sorry. Like that's not if I'm gonna wear them. Like that's gross. So sanitization is one thing, and the wigs fall into that.
Okay.
I love Lysol for that reason. We'll just Lysol everything out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, shoes, maybe. I personally, that's a big no for me, but I get it. But to me, it's kind of like sharing a toothbrush, which I feel like I haven't done that before. Anyway, I can see this conversation going. Even it still feels icky.
Yeah, it's gross. I don't like it.
Even when you've been sharing bodily fluids with said person. I'm sorry, it's conversation.
No, because you're brushing, like you're getting in there.
Exactly. And it's funny because when my nephews were younger and I watched what my brother would do, like, kids, okay, if you don't want to hear anything gross, plug your ears, by the way, people. Kid would sneeze, there's no Kleenex. My brother would just, I was like, oh, what? Whoa. Like, you see parents do stuff like this. And I asked my brother about it, and he's like, well, what do you do? This is why in my vehicle, I have
Use
Kleenexes
your kid's t-shirt.
Afterthought. In the moment, they're apparently not thinking about it. I did have a nephew like have an explosive sneeze in my car. This was years ago when he was really young. And to this day, I have Kleenex like in all the pockets of like in my car because sometimes my nephews are with me. And so it's like USB ports for everyone's chargers and Kleenex. For all of you child-free uncles and aunts out there, Kleenex is important. Anyway, that's not what we're really talking about. But sharing.
You mentioned with space, you also mentioned time, and I think time is a big one that's hard to share. I think we've all discussed that we're kind of selective about sharing time because we all kind of like to be alone a lot, maybe. And like if people want to hang out, at least for me, if someone wants to hang out, I'm really kind of like, oh, when and for how long, and as much as I'll enjoy it, it's kind of, I like to keep it limited just because I guess I am very stingy with my time. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you want kids, that's where you want to spend your time. So you're also stingy with your time. You have the kids, you want them there. That's, who you're spending your time with. I like spending time by myself or with Ian. But Ian and I can separate from ourselves. I just took a couple of days in a hotel just to get out of the house and get out of my daily routine and just be somewhere else. And he stayed home and he had his time. He hardly ever gets to be alone ever, because he's either flying with somebody or he doesn't get to be home alone. Because I'm always here. So he enjoyed his staycation at home by himself. I enjoyed my time in the hotel by myself. And if you have kids, maybe you can do that. Maybe you can take a couple days and just escape from your life, whatever your life is. But I don't think it's that easy. And I think in the times when you're not escaping, someone's always there, always, always, always there, always needing something, always wanting something. So yeah, time is a big one that I would not want to share. Again, not the reason I didn't have kids, although probably the biggest reason I'm glad I didn't.
I'm kind of thinking that that is a reason why because I saw what my mother did as a stay-at-home mom, how much she dedicated her life to raising me and my brother. And I knew before I realized I had a choice, I knew that I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to, and I don't know if I just felt like there was something else that was better suited for me. So to me, I'm kind of like the way, talking about that particular, like not wanting to share your time. I think I would have to say that is a reason why it kind of makes sense. Like, I guess I would have never worded it that way, but I didn't want to devote that amount of time. And I know that I wouldn't have to be a stay-at-home mom. I could have a job. I could, have a career, do all of the things, but I don't want to do all of the things. So,
Yeah.
like it's sure we can have it all, but do we want to? But that time thing is huge.
It's funny. I've never thought of time as something that you can share. Like for me, time is not something that I can share. For me, time is something that I either dedicate or don't dedicate to something or someone. Like it's mine.
Yeah, I mean, you
My
can't
time
pass
is
it. I can't say
mine.
here's 30
Yeah,
minutes, Isabel, take it.
my time is mine. So I decide if I want to dedicate my time with someone else or not, if I just want to dedicate it to myself and I completely agree with, needing our space. We're like the three of us, I guess we have that in common that I think it's more about, yeah, sharing spaces, I would say, because it's like physically you're in the same place with somebody else and you might need to actually pay attention to this person or engage with them. But time is just, I mean, the concept of time is for me is very different. I don't know, have you girls thought about it that way before, or is it just me?
I think we're just looking at sharing in a different way. Like obviously you can't take time and extend it to someone as a tangible object. But like even if you're not in the same space with somebody, if you have kids, you're spending your time going out to get groceries for them and spending time planning what they're going to eat and spending time figuring out where they're going to go to school and all the, let's call it emotional labor that you're doing just on a daily basis in the pursuit of trying to be the best parent you can be. I mean, a lot of time goes to them even when they're not physically in the room with you.
Yeah, that is, yes. So you're actually spending time. That's something that I think that actually did play a part in my decision, because I feel that there's so much that I do already, and there's so much more that I want to do, and none of what I want to do involves a child, or what I do already, of course. So having a kid, I knew that I needed to, in my mind, so this is the thing, in my mind, I needed to sacrifice my time. And when you start thinking about sacrificing something, that's not a positive connotation. You're thinking
No.
about, oh my God, I have to give this up for something else,
Yeah.
right? And maybe the payout is not going to be as good as you think. So for me, I think definitely that actually played a big part on my decision for sure.
Well, and that's the not the rest of the conversation, but continuing the conversation of sacrificing, but also dedicating time, sharing time, however you want to word it. It's when we live in a world that it's presented like that is a worthy sacrifice. And that's something that annoys us deeply. And is also, I don't want to say untrue, because for some people it is true, but it's a varied experience, and there's no guarantee, and you can't tell ahead of time, or sometimes you can't even tell while you're in it. And maybe on your deathbed you go, yeah, it was worth it, but how do we know if anything's really worth it? No matter what we choose to do, how do we really know?
Completely subjective. Like
Mhm.
that's, I think one of my biggest pet peeves is people saying, oh, but you know, you're gonna regret this or you're gonna miss out on that. And you're thinking, yeah, you're talking about your own experience. You have no idea how my life is like. You have no idea how I feel about things. And I guess, I mean, because we have different lives, what's good for you might not be good for me, you know. And I think it's all about, you know, that subjectivity of, in terms of, you know, that sacrifice that you make, or you make the, having a child is the greatest sacrifice a mother can make. How many times have I read that or heard that? So many times. But I don't think all mothers would agree with that either.
If the thing is, if this sacrifice thing makes me think, then it's not something you want to do necessarily then.
Mhm.
Because if I want to go skydiving, and I could also maybe use that time to go get Baskin Robbins, because let's say Baskin Robbins is only open at the time that I can go skydiving. If I choose to go skydiving, I am not sacrificing Baskin Robbins. I am saying, I really want to go skydiving. I've made my choice. That's what I want. There's no fucking sacrifice. So if you want to do, like, if you want to have children, you're you're saying, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. And this is what I want to spend my time on. So that's where I'm going to spend my time. I want kids. When you have kids, you play with them, you do all the stuff you do with kids. So it's only like a noble sacrifice if you are allowing yourself to birth the savior of organ donation or whatever, because it has a special gene, and you're going to continue to do all the stuff necessary to raise this kid for the good of humanity. That's a sacrifice. That's something like, I don't want to do this, but God damn it, I will, you know?
Well, framed like that, it makes me wonder about all those people that do post in comments about sacrifice or yelling at us for not sacrificing. That to me then answers how they feel. They had to give something up, not necessarily because they wanted it, because there are plenty of happy parents that support what we do. We've seen it on our social media and individually, whether in conversation or whatever. Like people who are like, yes, I made this choice. It's not easy, but good for you for not having kids. You know, like there are, and to me, I'm like, a miserable person would not type that. We know what the miserable people say. And maybe they're having an off day. I don't know. But that really makes me look again at those comments, that's how they view it, as a sacrifice, that they are giving something up that they didn't want to, for whatever reason, why they have kids. So I think I should just cut that part out of the podcast and paste that in comments, what you said to them. So see if they get that. That might be a little too subtle for them. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's too bad. Like, it really got in there. I mean, it's really in there with some people that you have to. It's for
Mhm.
the good of whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like your duty.
See, taxpayers.
Oh my God. Oh, Nora, if you haven't heard of previous episodes, Nora wants a child. If she ever would have a child, she would like her child to be a taxpayer.
A
Just in case,
responsible taxpayer.
just in
Yeah.
case you missed that.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
I would be such a terrible mother because that's what I want, is like
Jesus
No,
Christ.
you would make it, and for that, in that respect, you'd make an excellent mother, because too many parents don't teach their kids about finances and saving and good credit and all that stuff. And so they're just like, I was never taught any of that stuff. I wasn't taught about saving for retirement or establishing good credit. I mean, I got no teaching in that area.
the funny thing is my brother and I used to like tease our dad, like, well, when we tell dad answers everything in charts and graphs, but it's actually paid off as we've gotten older. So you know, be careful what you tease your parents about, folks. Sometimes they know what they're talking about. Sometimes.
You know, just to circle back to this conversation about sharing, and now that we mentioned the sacrifice part, I don't know if you girls have heard this from women who are mothers who are in straight relationships with men. But I mean, I've heard many say that they having to share their partner, having to share their husband with their children is something that they didn't like think that would like, you know what I mean? Like now they have
Mhm.
less time, like their partner is paying less attention to them because of course they have the child, and of course they're not paying as much attention to their partner either. So it's like I have to share my husband or share my wife with the child. And that to me is just, it's such a strange concept, you know? I
I
don't
can
know.
understand it though, because
Yeah.
before you have kids, you have just the two of you and you have a certain kind of relationship, and then you have a kid, and this kid takes a lot of your time and a lot of your attention. And I mean, I can see, I mean, I think a lot of that, I think that's why they say the first couple of years of having kids, that's like one of the reasons it's really hard, is because you've lost your partner's attention for the most part, or at least a lot of it.
My brother talked about that when we were doing his podcast, how the first year, and he was 19 when his son was born, and then 19 turning 20, and he was going through the grieving process because we had recently lost our mother. And he was saying how at the end of the day, he needed comfort from his partner, but they had an infant. And so I won't share the rest of that story because it's not my story to tell, but he told me, like, he didn't, like, for him it was a battle because he needed comfort, he needed emotional support, he needed things, but his partner could not provide that because there was a child, and he also had to, he chose to be in said child's life and raise as well. So having to put all that aside because there's this new infant that is very needy and doesn't care what the parents are going through, and they need things now. So what do you do, right? And that's not something that I would have kind of known that that's what happens, but not until you listen to someone going through that experience. Like, parents are people too, and they need emotional support. Who would have thought, right? But kids are like, what's that joke that children are like the ultimate narcissistic, mean whatever, because they don't give a crap about you. Like, they're demanding, they're dictators. There's this funny thing, but it's true. Like, it's been floating around forever, but it's true, because they're demanding and they're needy, and you can get thrown in jail if you don't pay attention to your child. So like, what choice do you have, right? So so it's, but again, people don't look at it that way though. They're like, who cares? Have a kid. You don't matter after a certain point. And that's frustrating, because then it leads to people just making decisions that they probably shouldn't make, meaning having kids for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And then feeling guilty about not liking it and having to be anonymous on Reddit and talking about how they regret it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, I have one for you too. Do you like sharing money?
Ooh.
I don't mind it.
Sharing as in you're gonna lend it and get it back, or sharing as in gifting?
You're not getting it back, dude. If you have a child, you're not getting your money
with interest.
I wasn't okay. I didn't realize this was talking about kids specifically, because
No, I'm talking about sharing in general money, but think about a parent having a child. Whatever you're not invest,
right.
Whatever the cost of a child is a cost. Like, you're not getting your money back.
Okay.
Same.
I think of all the money experiences that I've had. I've had a lot of money, I've lost money, like you name it. I've gone through like the gamut of money experiences. I like being in charge. This is also a reason why I don't want to partner up, is because I like having full say. Aside from paying my taxes, I have full say of how I spend my money. I'm never going to let that go. Right? Like, and that's something I don't feel grateful enough for, but I need to feel grateful for it. The fact that I don't like, if I'm spending money on someone, it's my choice. I've taken my nephew shoe shopping. We're in the mall and suddenly we all found a pair of shoes we loved. And so we got them and it was fun, but it's not obligatory. So no, I don't like sharing my money. Like, I love being generous. I love, like, when I can be, I love it. It gives me life, but because it's I get to do that. It's not because I have to. There's a huge difference. So when people complain about how much their kids are costing, I'm like, well, what did you expect?
Yeah. It really depends on how much of it I have. The less I have, the less I want to share it. Like, I was talking to my friend recently, and she was raising two little kids when she was kind of young. And she and her husband were divorced. And so she had to have two jobs so that she could make sure everyone got clothed and ate. And she would get her clothes at the thrift store and she would get their clothes new. And even though, like, when her kids would go to visit their dad over summer break or something, she would also get an extra job so that she would have money for when they got back. Like, everything she made went to taking care of them. And even now she's only recently started planning for retirement, and she has a lot of money that she has to give up because now her daughter's getting married. So that's more money that she can't put away to save for. And she's not like she loves her kids, she wants to do it, but she's also like, God, when is it over? It's never over. It's never ever over. And I would not like that. I wouldn't. I mean, and it's all dependent on whether you want kids. Like if I wanted kids, I would obviously be like, I want my money to go to you because this is the life I chose and I love you and this is. But I don't want kids, so I would really resent everything, all my money, all my time, everything going to them, everything I do being about them, all the work for them, all my time for them. I mean, it seriously seems like you just disappear.
Well, and then you have to work to get said money depending on your situation. If you're working
Exactly.
things you don't want to do, doing something you don't want to do because you need money to provide for other people besides yourself. I mean,
Right.
that's a huge part of how most people live. And that's kind of what we're taught. Actually, that is what we're taught. You know, from a young age, it's like, you're going to have a family. You got to get educated because you're going to need a job because you're going to have to pay for all this stuff. And then you're going to have to teach your kids to go get jobs because they're going to have kids. And then they're
What pressure. It's like,
I know, like, but that's normal. And so when you're not doing that, people look at you sideways because you're not doing that. I mean, that's not to say child-free people don't work. I'm not saying that, because being child-free doesn't mean we have lots of money. Some people are still living paycheck to paycheck for various reasons, but that's considered normal and acceptable, and that's what you must do. And yeah, it's also annoying.
just like being a parent doesn't automatically mean you like to share. There are parents who will lock cabinets so their kids can't eat the food.
Mhm. Yep.
My mom does that.
Still.
Not exactly. No, I was teasing with her this morning because I was away traveling, my sister was away traveling, and we both came back. When we always bring her something, we like to bring her goodies. She loves dark chocolate. She loves like just, and I was opening some drawers today looking for something, and I just kept finding caramels and chocolates, and I was like, what are you doing with
She's just like, get out of there.
Yeah, she just hides her goodies that we bring her. She hides them all over her place so we don't find it, because if she keeps it in the kitchen, she says that we're going to eat it, and we can't eat it because of her.
You know what, I love not having to share my space with people for many reasons, because I don't have to, like, it's not candy, although there's that too, but it's like I can leave all of my journals around the house. I have some in my office, I have some in my room, I have some in my living room, some in the kitchen, some in the guest room, and I don't think twice about it. My brother's the only one that has a key. He can come over like if he needs the place, but I know, I mean, you can hardly read what my writing is, so messy anyway, but still I trust him. But you know, like if it was a roommate situation or someone else that was really nosy like myself, like if I had another version of me, I would have to have a cabinet to lock everything up because I would want to read things.
So if you had a clone,
Like a mini me? Oh,
you know, like a clone, your
Yeah.
clone would read your journals and you would read your clone's journals. For sure,
pretty
like.
much, even though we're saying the same things. Oh, I mean, yeah, but things like that, because I also don't think you realize your quirks and what you need until it's taken away from you. Like when someone's in your space for whatever reason, even if you invite them and they're here for a while, and then little things kind of show up and you're like, oh, can you go so I don't have to deal with this? Or you're like, wow, I am really anal about you touching this. Like I have, you know, like there's certain towels for certain things. And you know, and you forget, like even when I host family dinners, I have towels that are specifically for glass only. But I don't even think of telling people that until I see them using it on a plate. Like, no, that's for glass only. Don't touch that. You know? And then my dad's like, oh, sorry. I'm like, it's okay. I forgot. Like, yeah, this is why I don't have kids. You know, there's specific things, but you know, like you don't
turn all the label space out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't do that. So no, that's fine. But stuff like, you know, yeah, don't touch those cups. That's for one thing. This is like, don't use the things you don't think about until someone invades your space. And then you're like, oh, I have to explain this to you. Okay. You know, it's just, I don't know how parents do it. Maybe this is why
I think
they
they
don't
let
have
go
nice
of a lot
yeah,
of their analness.
Yeah, that's what I
They
hear.
have
That's
to.
what I hear. You would
They
have to.
to.
Yeah, you do.
Like, you have no choice. Absolutely no choice.
So Kristen, don't use those towels because they're specifically for glass drying only. She's like, what are you talking about?
All I have is like I have a sponge for the counter and a sponge for dishes. and I have a hand towel and a dish towel, and never the two should be, because even though you wash your hands, I feel like they're still a little bit dirty,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
don't want to use that on to dry clean dishes.
Yeah. Important things when you live on your own, you'll learn like what you should and should not do. those are things you need to learn in school as opposed to what sometimes they teach you. Yeah. Well, this is it for this episode. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have any comments, thoughts, topic suggestions, please send them to our email at childfreegirls@gmail.com. You can also put your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are listening to this on Spotify or any other podcast app, please see where you give us the 5-star rating and click that. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, we have our website, childfreegirls.com, which you can send a Dear Childfree Girls letter to. If you have anything that you're experiencing that you have a question about or feedback, and you would like us to answer anonymously, you can send it to us anonymously. It will be posted on our blog and social media as Dear Childfree Girls. We will give you an answer from 3 different perspectives. So there's that as well.
And of course, we're all over social media, most active on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Childfree Girls. You can also find us on Amazon. We have a book, Comfort Food for Thoughts. Childfree Girls.
Yes.
Childfree Girls, Comfort Food for Thought. I'm sorry, like it's Friday.
You haven't read
We're
it in
recording
a minute.
on a Friday. I haven't done this in a minute. So a bit tired. But yeah, definitely Amazon.
There's no question mark in the title, by the way.
No. You can find the link to our Amazon book in the description below. What else? Lenora already told you if you want to send us a question to Dear Childfree Girls, feel free to send it to the email that Lenora mentioned, or you can also send us a DM via Instagram or Twitter or Facebook.
Also visit childfreegirls.com if you want to read the letters that we already have. Maybe there's something there. We don't have too many yet. We would like you to write and give us more. But seriously, go take a read and just see maybe what other people have said, because it might be something you have also either thought about or been irritated by or whatever. Now our question for you this time is, do you like to share? Are there things you like to share and some things you don't like to share? And did your assuming you don't like to share, did that contribute to your decision to not have children? If you don't have children, if you do have children, do you like to share? And did you always like to share?
And you can be honest about it.
Yeah, we really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Are we pleasing breeders by asking them a question?
No, I'm so over that.
I know.
We're gonna ask parents questions and they may come on our show. Deal with it. It's okay. They won't
Leave
bite
your
you.
comments below, or you can send us an email.
Yeah.
Don't forget to tune in a couple of weeks for our newest episode.
Bye.
Bye.